Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
As a child, it's not my job to reach out to my parents if they're not reaching out to me.
Adult children on TikTok, they came together to make a video talking about why they don't talk to their parents, either mom or the father, or even both, and telling people to mind their business and stop saying that they are your parents. You still need to talk to them, yada yada yada, that they have their own reasons, and it's also very difficult for them. So that's a conversation going on TikTok today, which I decided to share with you all in today's video. Hey beautiful people, how are you all doing today? My name is Maria Davis and I'm back with another interesting video. Of course it is. I'm going to play the first creators video, the one that made the original video before a lot of stitches. I'm going to play a video for you all to watch, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right, they need to talk to their parents, or that's your mom. Like, how can you just not talk to her? I had someone on my live yesterday say that my mom is not guaranteed tomorrow, and that should give me the reason that I need to talk to her. Y'all only know the 2 stories that I've told y'all. I have 26 years worth of things that have happened. I just know that if it was my husband that was saying or doing the things that my mom has done, that y'all would not be telling me that I need to stay with him and talk to him and make it work. So why is it different when it comes to parents? I don't care who you are. I have boundaries. I'm not gonna let people treat me just whichever way they want to treat me. Also, keep in mind that me being no contact with my mom was not an easy decision for me. It is not something I wanted to do or that I took lightly, and I'm still not happy about it. I don't want to have this sort of relationship. I don't want to be doing this, but I'm also putting myself first and doing what I feel is best.
People sometimes feel like parents do not make mistakes or they're supposed to be perfect. But I feel like parents are also human, and parents should also know that you are wronging your child. Just because you brought this child to the world does not mean that they don't have feelings of their own. They also have to make decisions at some point. It's when they were small that you can have total control over them. But now that they're an adult, they have to make their decisions by themselves. I have a lot of stitches to share with you, like interesting stitches. A lot of adult children coming to share their experience, why they don't talk to their parents, what happened, what went wrong, and all of that, which you're going to enjoy. I would like to know your thoughts about this down in the comment section. If you're also an adult parent and an adult child that do not talk to your parents, let me know down in the comment section. Or you're a parent and you have adult children that are not talking to you, let us know down in the comment section what went wrong. And yeah, let's watch the stitches and I'll see you all at the end of all the stitches.
Need to either make things right.
I wholeheartedly stand by this, because I feel like, first of all, as a child, it's not my job to reach out to my parents if they're not reaching out to me. That's one. And 2, the things that my father has done to me, I've forgiven him for, because I'm not just gonna walk around with hate in my heart, because that's just not me. You know, I'm not living my day-to-day worried about what my dad did back in 2019. But at the same time, we just will never speak again. My dad literally kicked me out my last day of high school and didn't even come to my graduation the next week. The year of 2018 to 2019, my father had remarried because my mother had passed away in 2016. And when I say my mother, and my father, I mean my adoptive parents. So yeah, me and my 2 younger siblings are adopted. When this lady came around, or whatever the case may be, I was a senior in high school, and my little brother was in 8th grade. My other little brother, I think he was a freshman or a sophomore. My 8th grade little brother, they ended up putting him back in foster care, and it wasn't on purpose. It kind of was on purpose, but it really wasn't. So what happened was they put him in a residential, and the residential was supposed to be for 2 weeks, but they never picked him up. And so the residential people called CPS, and my dad just let them have him, basically. The next year in 2020, when I got my first apartment, is when my other brother ended up getting kicked out. So he had to come stay with me. This is my first apartment. I'm only 19 years old, and I'm taking care of a 17-year-old child. So when people say, like, you know, why you don't speak to your dad? That's your dad. Because my dad don't speak to me. I tried reaching out to him on the 2nd of this year, of May. because that was his birthday. No response. My birthday is 2 days after my dad's. You think I got a text? No. And I just see my aunt the other day, my dad's sister. She said she reached out to him as well on his birthday and didn't get any response. So we're to the point where we just, we just accept it for what it is. I still got love for my daddy forever. And, I get where he was coming from as far as, like, with him being I feel like he was low-key kind of manipulated with the situation that he's in, the relationship he's in. But I feel like also as a man, you shouldn't let nobody come before your kids. Simple. And for that, I will never reach out to him ever.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
Don't mind me, I am getting ready for the gym right now. But basically, this is something I constantly have to deal with when it comes to my own family. Mostly my sisters. I have 3 sisters and a brother. And my sisters are 10 years older than me, the 2 oldest, because they're identical twins. The other one, she's 8 years older than me. Same thing with my brother. And even though since childhood, because I saw them, they were older than me. I saw how much they struggled with my mother, how much they have suffered under her narcissistic abuse and neglect. And even then, I've seen them struggle through all of that, and they cannot comprehend why I don't love her just without thought, and why I question her, and why I call her out. And they still, for example, I'm getting married October, Friday the 13th. You're invited. And she's not invited. And they're like, well, you can't not have Ma there. You can't not have Ma at your wedding. Like, she's never been to any of our weddings. Which right there, you have never invited our mother to your wedding. Now I'm supposed to take on the emotional labor and invite her to my wedding to make her feel better. You didn't even do it. Why am I being held at this standard? And the funniest and honestly, frankly, sad part about that and this is they try to relate to me and say, I mean, when I was your age, I stopped talking to Ma too because, I was having a tantrum, which is something more of like what my mother would say. And they're trying to relate of like, well, now I'm over it. Not really, sweetie. Not really. Takeaway I want to say with this that I have to sometimes say to myself to remind myself and that I want to give you is that you do not have to unconditionally love anyone. You are not obligated to in any way, no matter blood, no matter contract, no matter what. Be the healthiest version of yourself and surround yourself in people that appreciate your efforts and show you love when you show them love as well. Just be a good person.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
I honestly think people should respect your boundaries, and if you don't want to maintain a relationship with someone, like, that should be respected. I just want to get into my relationships with my sisters. I love my sisters. I have a really big family. My parents got divorced when I was really little, when I was 5. So there's like 6 of us total, 6 kids, but 2 of my sisters are fully biologically related. And those 2 sisters always love giving me a hard time about calling my mom, maintaining my relationship with my mom, saying Happy Mother's Day or Happy Birthday to my mom. Any holiday, really. And I've told both of them on, like, many times that I just don't feel like maintaining a relationship with my mom. And I'll be guilt-tripped till the end of time. And it probably will continue. But at some point, I'm going to have to tell them to leave me the fuck alone. I know part of it's being, like, a cultural thing. Like, since I'm Korean, like, we're supposed to take care of our parents. Like, we're supposed to take care of them and, blah, blah, blah. And the biggest thing for me is I've just never had a relationship with my mom. She disrespected my boundaries many years ago when I was a kid. And I just never felt like I was close to her ever since that moment. But there's other stuff that happened in my childhood. and that I remember like very vaguely, but that she did to me, and doesn't ever make me feel good or right about it. So I've never maintained a relationship with her, and I don't really like calling her or talking to her because she gives me a guilt trip about why I don't call her, and then gives me a guilt trip why I don't hang out with one of my sisters who lives in LA too. And I'm just like, I'm just checking on you because I'm just checking on you. I don't need to be asked if I'm eating or if I'm exercising. Like, you ask me the same fun questions, and I say yes to all of them every time. And the other thing too, it's just like, if I want to see my sister and we have time, we'll see each other. But it's like, everything is just so forced and so unnecessary. Like, going back to my sisters, like, I'm at a point where I just need to tell them to just leave me alone. Like, I don't want to maintain a relationship with my mom. And I already talked to my therapist about this, and it's okay not to maintain relationships I don't want to maintain. And you don't have to either.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
Yes, 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 yes to everything that creator said. I find that oftentimes people will project whatever relationship or whatever coping skills or dynamics that they've had with their own mothers onto me and say those same things like, that's your mom. Well, she's been through a lot. And it's like, I too have been through a lot because of also her. Also, there's a lot of other things that are out of our both of our controls, but it is never an easy decision for people to be no contact or to not really contact their parents or engage with them. And I find that oftentimes when people, shame me or make me feel like, oh, you should do more, you should try to mend this relationship, I ask, like, do you think I haven't tried that? Do you think I have not tried everything in the book? I've not been empathetic. I've not been the mother oftentimes in our relationship and dynamic, that I have not made an effort to do the things that she wanted me to do just for her to not try or grow. Like, a lot of these things that you would hear in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, the gaslighting, the narcissism, the imbalance in the relationship, if you heard that, you tell your friend, like, hey, you should really, like, let that person go. This person is not, they might be a good person. They've been through a lot and can have all the empathy, but that person is not healthy for you. So why does that change when it's a parent? A parent is just a person. We always say, like, our parents are people. Like, when you realize your parents are just people, like, you have more understanding, like, you don't put them on a pedestal. And I'm like, exactly. If that's true, then why do we put our parents on a pedestal and act as if they are immune from accountability and change and remorse at the bare minimum? Like, it's, if someone who doesn't have contact with their parents, mind your business or ask why, and not from a place of judgment, but from a place of understanding. Because I think too often it's just like this judgment of, like, you must not really care about your parents. And it's like, no, I love them. That's why it's hard. That's why it's hard for me,
Right?
Story time. I very recently have transitioned into no contact with my father. So I probably have hours and hours worth of stories about how he's not a nice person and how difficult it is to get along with him, and, the alcoholism growing up and the absentee parenting and the rage of his personality and, those types of things somehow did not keep me from talking to him. Somehow I still allowed him in my life. How horrible he treated my mom. The tricky part with people like him is there's no way to look at any one incident and call it abuse. So the incident that put me over the edge was, all I asked was not to talk on the phone. I was going through burnout. I was in new work positions. Everything was overwhelming at kind of the end of last year. I had zero bandwidth for any relationships, really. I made one simple request. Hey, I'm just not a person who wants to talk on the phone. It's not you, it's me. I said it as politely and nicely as possible. I'm just not a person talking on the phone. And I'm really not. I don't like talking on the phone, period. Yes, I get it. He lives in another state, but obviously I moved out of the state of Florida for a reason. I've been in California 15 years now, thank you. I always replied to his text messages, which mostly were kind of drunken, like, I'm so proud of you. I'm sorry I'm a bad guy. And he loves sending me a little bit of money through Zelle periodically, which honestly I'll gladly take because he owes me for the therapy bills at this point. Anyway, the simple request to not talk on the phone has escalated him into a situation where he was harassing me via text message over and over and over when I asked, hey, I'm at work, I can't respond right now. And he's saying, oh, bullshit, like really, and this is his MO, does not let things go and pushes and pushes and pushes the communication, emailing over and over, calling over and over. So I blocked him. I was working. I cannot be harassed by my family at work. So now that has escalated into an entire family drama where he's crying and crying to my sister. He's writing me crazy emails. My grandma's writing me crazy emails. And I literally just keep responding to these people with the same thing. Like, hey, I'm just not a person who wants to be talking on the phone lately. I'll respond to your emails. I'll respond to your texts. But now it's like blown up into such a huge problem that I have to deal with. And I'm still in burnout with like zero bandwidth for like drama in my life. And it's like, I'm not going to deal with this. You created this whole psychotic drama out of me not wanting to talk on the phone. I mean, and I have no regrets if I never talk to him again, honestly. At this point, I've given him 42 years of patience. And like, if he cannot just honor one request, goodbye.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
Whenever I talk about going no contact, I talk about how there came a point in my life where I knew that I could either have a healthy and whole life or I could have a relationship with my family, but I could not have both. And trust me, I fought it. I tried to avoid it for years. I thought, is there any other way besides no contact? But I came to the realization that I could not have a good life and keep in contact with my family, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how much mental health care I did, no matter what I did for myself to make myself a healthy person. It was not going to happen because my family was not in a place where they wanted to be healthy people and grow too. And so I was only going to be re-traumatized for my entire life, and I couldn't keep doing that to myself. And so I made the decision, it was me or them, and I chose myself. And people do not often understand how incredibly painful of a decision it is to voluntarily orphan myself and estrange myself from my siblings in order for my mental health to improve. And it has improved immensely, but it is not the decision that I would have wanted to make. I spend holidays alone. That's not fun. When people go, oh, what do your parents do? Oh, where do your parents live? I just have to go, yeah, it's not a fun life. And if you are no contact with your family or with a certain family member, you don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't owe them reasons. You don't owe justification. If they don't understand, then that is something that is not compassionate within them. It is not your ability to explain yourself better. You don't owe anyone anything. This is not the life that I would have chosen for myself, but it is a life where I am happy, where I am safe, and where for the first time in my life, I can thrive. Because I am not continually being knocked down by narcissistic abuse and spending all my time recovering from that, rather than working toward my own life, my own healing, my own business. I am able to live a free and happy, healthy life because I am not putting the emotional energy of recovering from a family that constantly abuses, verbally abuses, emotionally abuses, and manipulates me and each other. That energy can now be spent bettering myself and bettering my life.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
For a child to actively cut out their caregivers, it's an incredibly unnatural, uncomfortable, painful process. As humans, we are designed to connect with our caregivers. We are here to grow, learn, and evolve with them. And when that doesn't happen, it's not something that the child easily decides. It's not something that's an easy, exciting decision for someone to cut the people out of their life that were supposed to give them the tools that they needed to grow. I think the only way to heal is for caregivers to take accountability for the things that they fell short in, because we all fall short. When I become a mother, I will fall short. Everyone's going to fall short, but the problem lies when a caregiver assumes the role of perfection in the relationship with their child and can never amount to that.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
I know the people watching this are either not in contact with their family or have not been in contact at some point in time with their family. We are the same. So let's talk about it. Personally, my entire life leading up to my 30s, I had experienced a false sense of forgiveness, which was skipping all of the emotions that came with processing all the injustices my parents did to me and trying to get right to forgiveness because they're my parents. It took a few years of talk therapy for me to realize that it goes so much deeper than just talking to a therapist about it. So I moved on to EMDR therapy, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a brain reprogramming, reprocessing kind of therapy where you have to revisit the trauma. And something that I learned from that was I was skipping all of the grief, I was skipping all of the sadness, and I was especially skipping the rage. Most importantly, I was ignoring my inner child's needs. The need to feel loved, the need to feel reassured, to be protected. I tried skipping steps to get to forgiveness only to find that I could not forgive and I was just becoming more resentful. And to the people who say these things, I hope that you can take a moment to try to understand or at least broaden your perspective that not all of us have that great family dynamic. We wish we could, but we can't make our parents be someone else. And for those of us who have to grieve the parents that we never had, it's okay to be angry and it's okay to be sad. It's okay to grieve someone that's still alive. That's why I do what I do. Just like there's beauty in all the happy moments, there's also beauty in the pain with healing. Listen to your intuition, protect yourself, put those boundaries in place, do what you need to do, and take every single avenue of healing that you can get your hands on and use it. Maybe you can forgive them, but it's not imperative to your healing.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
I absolutely agree with everything that she's saying, but I wanted to add a few more key points in here too. It astounds me the amount of people that will continuously blame a child for not healing the relationship with their parent in their life. Telling somebody that they need to be the one to fix whatever is going on between the parent is so out of bounds that you do not ever need to put that emotional weight onto a child, no matter how old they are. That child has clearly set boundaries for themselves, though they may be an adult now. I don't care how old you are, you can still set these boundaries. These boundaries are in no way a punishment to the parent. These boundaries are set by their inner child still being broken and still needing to heal, and they have to protect themselves because the parent in their life did not do that for them.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
So after 4.5 years of not talking to my mother and everyone thinking that like I need to just get over it, I finally got my dad to not just understand, but to fully recognize and admit that, yeah, his wife is completely incapable of taking responsibility and that it's always someone else's fault. And I went on and I said, see, Dad, the thing is, if someone's not willing to take responsibility for their own behavior, then you carry their bags around. Like, basically, they can say or do anything and you just have to take it. And that's like baggage that I get to carry. I got enough on my plate. I can't carry her bags too. Which is ultimately why I ended that relationship. And he said, well, but your mother loves you. I want you to know she really loves you. And I told him, I said, that's kind of irrelevant. Whether she loves me or hates me isn't the point. The point is she's not willing to treat me the way I need to so that I can feel safe in that relationship. And I wouldn't tolerate that from anyone. So why should I tolerate that from her? So it's not a matter of like, you don't get to be like, oh, I love you, but no, I don't really care. Like, I'd rather you hate me and treat me appropriately than love me and treat me like shit. Which is ironic because my haters have more respect for me than my own mother.
I think a lot of people that make sentiments like this tend to be projecting their own relationship with their parents onto others without realizing that not everyone has a stable relationship with their parents. Me, for example, my parents disowned me for being trans, and I actually made my TikTok to process that fact. It's traumatizing. Yeah, so I don't want to maintain contact with them. They made their choice. When I was suffering through 8 years of severe emotional trauma inflicted by them, they did nothing. In fact, they only exacerbated it. When I would be begging for their help, just a modicum of love and support, all they would give me is thoughts and prayers. And that shit broke me. Like, to be told that, your suffering is not, worth enough for us to change our minds. The fact that, like, you would rather not me exist than to accept me as your daughter. How am I supposed to ever maintain contact with that person? I tried for 8 years, and I know towards the end I started tapering off because eventually it got too painful. Like, it started physically hurting. Every single text, every single call that they tried doing, anytime they interacted, my entire week was ruined because I couldn't stop the negative feelings that would just pour forth. Because on just a fundamental level, when someone doesn't care about the value of your life, the value of your happiness, and that person is the person that society says is supposed to accept you the most, no, like, it breaks you. It destroys your self-worth. And I've been picking myself up piece by piece, trying to live my happiest life. And I've been doing great without them. And I've only really started to live life 2 years ago. I've been transitioning for 8 years, but without the support of the people that I needed the most, I couldn't trust in other people. I didn't have a good foundation. So no, I don't want to maintain contact with my parents, and I don't think it's anyone's right to, intrude and say, you know what, my parents are important to me, so you should, like, maintain contact with yours because your parents are going to die one day. No, that's not your place to be saying that. My parents watched me suffer and did nothing, and I will never forgive them for that because I know I'm worth more than that. And so, yeah.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
So, boy, I have a story for this. So, I can't speak to anybody else's lived experience or cultural experience besides my own. I am Indian. I'm an immigrant in the United States, and that's what I'm going to speak from. I've been in no contact with my father since 2019. I've been in no contact with my father, my brother, my father's mother, my grandma, my father's brother, my uncle, and his wife, my uncle's wife, right? And funnily enough, my uncle's wife is also my mom's sister. So 2 brothers, married 2 sisters. And my extended family, so I still talk to my family, my dad's sisters. I'm so close to all of them and my cousins from there. And they don't understand. They understand that I don't want to talk to my brother, my uncle, or his wife. They totally understand it, respect it, don't push me to talk to them at all. But when it comes to my father, all of a sudden there are different rules. How could I not talk to my father? It got to a point where I had to like get into an argument with my family members while I was in India because this was a constant thing. Like, you need to call your father. And it's been a constant thing for a very long time. You forgave him. You forgot. Why can't you forgive him again? Like, why? I'm like, I've forgiven him. It's like, well, why don't you talk to him then? I'm like, I don't want to talk to them. That doesn't register in a lot of people's brains, like, because they have forgiven the person that you are not speaking to anymore for similar things that this person has done to them. It's often the same, right? Like, it's often those kind of people. Like, this person that has abused you has not just abused you. They have abused the people that are telling you that you need to talk to this person. Almost always the case, right? So they are like, and my father, like, gaslights like nobody's business. He told my aunts, like, well, she's my daughter. How could I do that to her? Like, no. I would never do something like that. I'm like, he's your brother. He's trying to do something similar to you. And she's like, well, nobody gives any sisters any thoughts. I'm like, how is that not like a problem in your brain? Like, how is that not a problem in your brain? But at the end of the day, I think it's an issue with Brown family specifically, with not just boundaries, but patriarchy. Because we cling to patriarchy so much that my extended family cannot fathom why I would not talk to the family patriarch, because that's what my father is. He's the oldest of all of the siblings. And yeah, it's always a thing. It's likely always going to be a thing. And I constantly have to reaffirm my boundaries because, as we know, Brown families don't understand boundaries.
Stop telling people who are no contact with their parents that they need to either make things right.
I think what a lot of people miss is that a lot of us didn't actually want to go no contact with our parents. We were forced to, because when a parent puts a child in a position where the child has to choose themselves and their mental health over the emotional, physical, spiritual damage that's being done to the child by the parent, it's one of the most difficult decisions that an individual can make. And I think it's really important to note that a lot of us understand the trauma that our parents went through prior to having us. We understand that they didn't have the resources that we have now. We understand that they didn't grow up the way that we have grown up with them. But all we have ever asked of them is to stop treating us as if what they've done to us has had no impact on us, especially when we've taken the time to understand how their lives and their parents have impacted them. I told my mother directly that I would rather be homeless on the street with nothing and have a healthy relationship with her than have her speak to me and treat me the way that she has. And it still didn't click for her. I went through some of the worst losses in my life, and she mocked the entire situation. So for me, when a parent kicks a child when they're at the low points that I have faced, you forced me to go no contact with you, because at that point, contact with you is causing me physical harm. A lot of people don't understand that a lot of us have very internal reactions to the hurt and pain that our parents have caused us that manifests itself in a physical nature. For me, I start shaking, I get night sweats, I start having panic attacks. It affects me to the point where I can't even mentally focus. And this has shown up in a plethora of my relationships, romantic relationships with partners who mirrored behavior of my parents, specifically my mother and my father. Well, yeah, those are my parents. I mean, I don't claim them. Anyway, what I'm saying is people have to push a lot of us to the point of no contact, because a lot of us want those very relationships that you guys are telling us that we need. That's your mom, that's your dad, that's your husband, that's your sister, that's your auntie, that's your uncle. Okay, and who am I? Who am I? Do I not matter in this equation? Because if I'm not going to matter to you, them, I have to matter to myself. Like, I can't just continue to put everyone ahead of me. And that's why a lot of us have chosen to go no contact. And there are plenty of us that are not going to come back for the inheritance because we never needed your money. We wanted your love, respect, kindness, protection, care. That's what we wanted. And I'm not saying that money doesn't matter, because it does, but what mattered more was love and respect for my parents, not what they gave me. And I've been an empath and a people pleaser. So, if I had to cut somebody off, I had to be pushed there, because doormats put up with everything.
If you're still here, definitely enjoying this video, kindly like this video, subscribe, and also share to whoever might find it helpful, and also comment down in the comment section. All right, for me, when it comes to people, that adult children that do not talk to their parents, for me personally, I see it as a very big deal. And for me, before now actually, I see it as if I have a friend that she doesn't talk to any of their parents, or a male friend that doesn't talk to any of his parents, or maybe doesn't talk to the mom or doesn't talk to the dad, I'm always like, why now? No, now you should at least just try to forgive them, try to amend things, but when they go further and be like, oh, this is what they did, and it's really hurting them and all of that, I'll try to be like, okay, sorry, just take them as they are and all of that. Because I can't really relate the fact that you can't talk to you have like this strong hatred or something for your parents. I don't know how I can't relate to it, because is not actually happening to me. But then when I started having deeper conversations with these people, then I realized that even these parents are doing most. And for some adult children that are still talking to their parents, regardless of the kind of person their parents is, they're just like, okay, let me just let it go. Like, okay, I've accepted that you're my parent, no problem. You will die soon now. Let me just continue talking to you. And they just let it go, just for formality's sake, nothing else, right? And yeah, but seeing a lot of things that some parents are really doing to their children and not apologetic at all. Some are even like feeling entitled. See, in part of the world I am, Africa, parents do not apologize to you. If they do anything wrong to you and they hurt your feelings deeply, they won't tell you sorry. They won't apologize to you. They'll just tell you, oh, let me buy you ice cream, let me do this. They don't apologize to their children, and which is wrong. And if you're doing that to your child when they were small, they accept it. But now they are an adult, they can make decisions by themselves. Things change. And I feel like those are the kind of adults that don't talk to their parents when they feel like, there's nothing I'm even gaining from this, my father. There's nothing I'm gaining from this mom, because all she does is just, she's a narcissist. A lot of things that African parents, I'm just saying African because I'm in Africa, okay, guys, does to their children, that if they stop talking to their parents, you will, in short, you won't even question them, because they've done a lot. They've endured a lot from their parents. It endured a lot. And now seeing it that is not just happening in Africa, it's happening outside Africa, in the United States. Also, people that are not even black, is happening to them as well. And I'll say, okay, fine, this is like a general thing, and everybody's entitled to their feeling. And this is like, to parents now, if you know that you have adult children that are not talking to you, you've really hurt their feelings, just know that you didn't just start that day. You started a while ago. So it's better you try to amend things. And everybody has their feelings. If you don't make them want to love you, want to be with you, they won't. It is not like nobody is a robot. Everybody has their free will. So yeah, I just feel like parents to just wake up and try to see things. Say they've gone to amend things, and some, like, I always call my father, he doesn't pick, and all of that. It's just crazy. Like, today's conversation is really, really wild. Guys, that is why this video is very long. And thank you so much for sticking around to this point. Let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section. And of course, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.